Hey guys, what's going on? It is Ash here coming at you today in Clash Royale with your favorite series, my favorite series. It is the Broken series back on the channel here in podcast format where me and my amazing YouTube guests subscribe to all of their channels. They're all linked in the show notes below. Use their creator codes as well. All of that information will be below. Weird to give you guys a shout out before I even said who you guys are, right? But we have KFC. What's up, KFC?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for having me.
No problem, dude. You sound super excited to be here.
I'm pretty happy. I'm just tired, bro.
I hear you. Waking up at 4 a.m. in Australia. I just always guessed that it's sometime in the middle of the night.
Yeah,
there.
it's 5 a.m.
5 a.m. Thanks for being here, bro. Appreciate it. And Shane, what's up, Shane?
Yo, what's happening? Happy to be
Not
here.
much. Good. Glad to hear it. Tag?
Hey, man, what's up?
Not much, dude. And Ray, legendary Ray.
It's been day 7 of quarantine. Pretty well.
Yeah, you hold it up okay, you guys? I mean, I figure as content creators, we're one of those weird professions that, you know, our lives are not dramatically affected in terms of individuals, of course, our families and stuff. Any of you guys, you all feeling healthy or?
No, I never leave the house anyway, so I'm good.
Such as the life of a gamer, I guess, right? Yeah. But anyway, today we're going to talk about, each of my guests have 2 cards selected, myself included, so we have 10 cards total that we feel are broken inside the game and need fixing, whether that be a nerf or a buff or a rework. Let's go ahead and jump right into it here with SirTag. Tag, what's up, dude? Tell us, what cards do you have selected for us today?
So I would definitely nerf the Magic Archer. I see him every single game, man. He's just too strong.
We're just jumping right into it, huh? Just jumping right into the Magic Archer. I think that I figured that was going to be probably the #1 card that you guys all thought of.
He's a 4 elixir cost card, and his usage rate is 27 right now. So over 1/4 of the decks that you play in the game are going to have Magic Archer. And it's not a win condition. It's not skeletons or, you know, Zap or Log that you can kind of just throw in every single deck. Like maybe the Miner you could throw in every deck, but it's just not the same thing. It should be a supportive card like Musketeer or maybe Electro Wizard and have a high-end usage rate if it's strong of like 10%. But this thing is like 27. It's a win condition. It's a support card. It's ridiculously overpowered because it's just able to do everything. And the only real way to kill it right now is have Fireball in your deck. If you use Barb Barrel, well, what happens if your opponent has Battle Healer? Then the Battle Healer locks on to the Barb Barrel, and it actually helps the Magic Archer because it heals it up. So overall, like, you see it in Wall Breakers decks, you see it in Elixir Golem decks, you see it in Royal Hogs decks, you see it in just about everything. So I'm just tired of playing against it almost every game.
All right, so you're sick of Magic Archer. He's gotten to be like where he was, feel like a year and a half ago, where he was just so strong, maybe even stronger right now. So how do you fix him, though?
I would definitely do either a slower attack. So then, like, if it locks onto your tower, then you have like a little bit more time to respond before it does, you know, 400, 500 damage. Mm-hmm. So I would probably do something along those lines, or maybe just decrease the amount of damage, or maybe even decrease. I know this has never been done before, but maybe decrease the amount of damage that it does the towers. I think that'd be pretty cool if they like.
Well, didn't the Miner get that?
Yeah, but I guess, yeah, they do that to Miner. Miner did have that. So it's not unprecedented. Yeah, maybe they do that. That would actually be really cool.
I agree with you there. I think that's a pretty good solution. Is anybody on this call right now who doesn't think Magic Archer needs a nerf?
Magic Archer is a tricky card. I really enjoy it, and I think it's a good card for the meta because it keeps gameplay fast-paced and it's aggressive. And I think it punishes those defensive decks. So I really think it's a good card to have in the meta. But what Teg said about having the Magic Archer, it basically does everything. It's a support card. It's a win condition as well. Like, it just does everything a little bit too well right now. So I hope that even if they do nerf it, I hope it's a tiny nerf, because I think having it be in the meta is better overall for the health of the game.
I agree with you 100%, Shane. Is everybody on the same kind of page there? Like, we like Magic Archer, just don't kill it again. And that's what I fear. Like, if they change, if they mess around with the hit speed, I feel like they're gonna kill it again, right? Because
last time with the hit speed, like, they tried that before, and the hit speed, like, it makes it like you can't kill Swarm with it, and then it basically does nothing. It's not a win condition. It doesn't defend on Swarm. So I feel like if they do nerf it, tower damage is the way to go. Reduces the impact as a win condition, but it's still good as a support card.
The perfect thing about Magic Archer to me, though, is no matter how strong it is, it dies to Fireball and it's 4 elixir, right? Yep. So, like, you know, that part of the card is just like, it's super simple, but it's the formula that's tried and true, because you can never complain about it being like, you can complain about it being too strong, and I agree that it's too strong, but at the end of the day, you can still always counter it with a fireball. And of course that plays into a lot of these decks, right? They want you to counter it with a fireball, or they're just playing it high and just getting all that extra tower damage. So I get that, but at the end of the day, I agree, the card should stay in the meta. It sounds like we all agree on that. Tag, what's your second card?
So my second card has got to be the mirror. It's chilling at 92 out of 98 cards that are currently in the game for usage rate. It's less than 1% right now. Okay. And its win rate is a staggering 26% win rate. So I'm just looking at that right now. I'm like, okay, so people that are using it are putting themselves at a severe disadvantage going into the battle. So for me personally, the way that I would change it is I would make it the same exact card that you just played for the same amount of elixir at the same level. So you don't get one more level, you don't pay one more elixir. I think it's way more versatile then. It's probably going to be able to be used in different decks. It will probably change the entire way how Clash Royale is played. Like, you would essentially be able to play with 7 cards and then the mirror. So then you would be able to play like ridiculously fast cycle. Or if you wanted to, for instance, play a Sparky deck and be like, oh, I want to be able to decide, do I sometimes want to like double arrow so I can destroy anyone's goblin barrel on defense and then go on offense and destroy minion horde? Stuff like that is just, I think it would be really cool and interesting for the game. And if it doesn't work, they can always revert it and be like, hey, this just wasn't a good change, but the card is dead right now and it's not seeing use. We want to see if this would change it or liven it up. And I don't really see any other way of fixing it. I don't know. Like, yeah, I think that's really the only way.
Anybody, any thoughts on that?
I love the idea. I absolutely love it. I think it's great. I think it'll make it a viable card in the meta for sure.
Anybody else? KFC, Ray?
Sounds good.
I think Tag's gonna win this one here. He got the magic card and the mirror.
All right. Well, I'll play devil's advocate. I think that might be. I agree that the mirror needs to a rework or a change if they want to even make it a real thing in the game. However, I think that my only concern, and I'm not even sure if I'm right on this, but I feel like if they do what you said there, Tag, and make it just the same card, same cost, everything, that it might make like annoying OP cards more annoying in OP. For example, like when Elixir Golem was super strong, maybe it's a bad example, but like, you know, it gives players more license to abuse cards that are already like really strong, and especially cheap cards, right? And even like, but maybe that's not even an issue. Maybe like, who cares? Maybe, you know, you have a bomb tower, so who cares about 2 Elixir Golems? Or, you know, going against log bait, maybe it would be cool if they had a mirror in log bait, because, you know, that would give them a huge threat in double goblin barreling, you know? I don't know. All right. I guess it's a pretty good idea. I think
it's a cool idea, but like you're right, it could. Who knows what interactions would become like super overpowered? Like maybe everything else is fine, but like mirror battle healer just breaks the game because of the mirror being like equally elixir cost, right?
Or like you're in double elixir time and the guy's just like, oh, mirror rocket, boom, 1500 damage or 16, whatever the hell, you know, like it, like that would really suck. You know, the mirror rocket would really suck if that was like the final. All you have to do in this whole deck is get the tower to whatever 1400 damage, 1500 damage, and then it's over. But I agree with you overall that that's a card that definitely needs something to change with it. Let's keep it moving here. Legendary, you've been pretty quiet over there. How does it feel to be a Clash celebrity with your in-game challenge, infinite elixir, and face reveal all in the same week?
I mean, to be honest, I've just been chilling at home playing Minecraft.
Okay.
But yeah, it's been pretty great. Anytime I don't spend playing Minecraft, I'm pretty much spending on YouTube now because I'm kind of on break off college as well. So cool, yeah, man. It's lots of work, but it's also really nice.
All right, what cards you got for us here today?
All right, so my 2 cards are Fisherman and Fire Spirits. So let's start off with Fisherman. The Fisherman is a card that isn't seeing that much usage. I'm trying to find it on Stats Royale right now, but it's all the way at the very bottom. So yeah, obviously it's been Supercell's tried to buff it, but it just hasn't really worked. So I feel like, again, just a tiny buff, maybe increasing how fast the hook goes. Again, not so much so that it's like as good as it used to, but just a little bit in between. I feel like Fisherman is such a fun card to have in the meta. Like, there is a lot of skill that does happen. Like, you can make predictive plays or you can activate King's Tower and so on. So I think Fisherman would just be a good card to have in the meta as long as it's not like really overpowering and really dominating.
Okay, I agree 100%. Anybody else?
I have a question for this. Sorry, Tag. I'll just be quick here. Do you guys think they've nerfed Fisherman too quickly back when it was in the meta?
Yes.
Like, do you think it never really had, like, even though people thought like the original stats were too strong, like maybe it didn't have time to like balance out in the meta, right?
I think it was too OP back then, but
Okay.
I think it was also a different meta than it is right now. So what I was going to say was I think Fisherman right now, it just doesn't have a place in the meta because there's bomb towers, there's baby dragons, there's ice wizards. Everything kind of rather have tornado because you're going to be playing against bait decks that have magic archer fireball bait with royal hogs. What would you rather have, a tornado or a Fisherman that isn't even reliable against that? So for the most part, I think that tornado is just a better card in the meta right now. And I wonder if Bomb Tower and other cards get nerfed that are surrounding it. The alternative of Fisherman might be way more appealing. I still think that Fisherman is like slightly underpowered still. But yeah, I think that it's a card that just the meta doesn't appreciate it as well. So there's that variable that we have to factor in.
That's true. That's a good point.
I just kind of thought of this from what Tag was saying, but what if what if they made Fisherman attack air?
I'd be
more
down.
consistent?
I mean, just try it out. Yeah.
I feel like that'd be pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's one of those things, right, where you go back to like Expo targeting air. That I'm not sure if it was a good. I think it was a good thing that they stopped it targeting air. So it's like, but that's totally different than a Fisherman. Obviously, Fisherman's not like your win condition. So I think it might be an interesting idea. It would look pretty funky to be pulling a lava hound around the arena, but or a balloon or whatever. Or minions, but at the same time, it looks pretty funky as is, I guess. I actually agree with you, Shane. I think that it was a little bit, I hear what Tag is saying, right, where the meta then was different. It was a lot of like Royal Giant meta too then, and I remember just pulling Royal Giants like everywhere in the arena. But at the same time, I felt like they were a little heavy-handed on a legendary card especially, and it's sucked pretty much ever since they touched it, even despite the buffs. And think about it this way, like I feel like we penalized the Fisherman for being a troop card versus a picture Fisherman versus Tornado. Dude, for me, like even when Fisherman was really good, it was still like you could make a really strong case that NATO was almost always better because NATO is just like such a good card when combined with other cards. Whereas Fisherman, there's a huge downside too of pulling that giant skeleton into your tower or doing like making mistakes with a Fisherman, or just having bad like luck with the Fisherman. Sorry. And like I feel like RNG, I guess, is what I was looking for.
Yeah. I think what Tech mentions though definitely has like credit for like the meta being different because back then like you said, it was Royal Giants, it was like Pekka was OP back then, and so it was a lot of like single target units. So like you go RG, then you could Fisherman the RG away or Fisherman their Pekka away. Whereas now the meta's changed. It's wall breakers, it's Royal Hogs, it's swarm stuff. So like Fisherman isn't really effective just for the pure fact of the meta not allowing it to be. But
okay, but I don't see the meta changing anytime soon. It seems like we've had this wall breaker meta for 4 or 5 months or more now. KFC, how do you feel about Fisherman, man?
It definitely needs a buff. Yeah, I just think that.
What is the appropriate buff at this point, though? Because like Shane said, like Royal Hogs, wall breakers, a lot of swarmy type cards. Like Fisherman doesn't really seem to fit in against any of those. So
it just needs to be able to hook faster to make it viable against something because it just takes way too long to hit anything. And if it could hook like reasonably fast, maybe it would be reliable against like countering wall breakers and Royal Hogs. Just depends how quick it is.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
It's definitely the worst legendary.
The fear that you run with that, though, the risk you run with that is like if you buff Fisherman in a meta where it's not really viable, then it kind of like flies under the radar.
That's what I'm saying.
Shifts to like different cards, now all of a sudden Fisherman's like crazy OP again, right?
Because that's what I'm saying. Like it would be stronger in a meta where it would be beatdown. If beatdown got a buff and like wall breakers became not so good anymore, Royal Hogs would be a pain for Fisherman, but you've got Hunter and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so move on to your next card. It was Fire Spirits, you said, right?
Yeah, so Fire Spirits, just like Fisherman, is all the way at the bottom. It's got like almost no usage, although like on paper, it sounds like an absolutely amazing card. I mean, especially in this meta, like with Royal Hogs, Wall Breakers, everything dominating in this meta, and even Lava Hound. Like, Fire Spirits theoretically should be doing really well, but they just simply aren't. So, what I think with the Fire Spirits is I think they should just straight up increase the splash radius. Because right now they're supposed to do splash, but even if you just, play them and they jump onto like a minion horde, half the time it doesn't even splash onto the whole thing. So like it's not as consistent, and I think that's a big reason as to why they just aren't as popular, even in a meta that's mostly dominated by swarms. So yeah, I think a bigger splash radius is the way to go.
Yeah, anybody else? I think we talked about this on one of our previous videos too, and my viewers had a lot of great ideas as well. Anybody have any strong opinions on Fire Spirits? I agree with everything you said, Ray.
I think you go ahead, KFC.
I was just gonna say, I think the what we mentioned last time was nerfing the Fire Spirits like a little bit so that Furnace wouldn't be OP, and then adding an extra Fire Spirit to make it 4 for 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think that way Furnace wouldn't become OP, and Fire Spirits would be good for like splitting in the back and just mass damage.
I totally agree. I'd like to see 4 Fire Spirits as well. Tag, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I actually love that. The thing is, like, Fire Spirits are just inherently flawed right now, just because you rather use something that you get value over time, like Firecracker. Okay, you have a whole bunch of splash damage, and then what else happens? You're able to get counter push afterward. So there needs to be some other thing. Either I actually prefer raise over the 4. I rather have the extra, maybe I get more out of my splash damage here, opposed to the 4 for 2. Yeah, I don't know. I would go for the bigger splash damage because I think it would be a cool different change.
Shane, what would you go for? Would you go with the more splash
I was gonna go
damage
for the biggest splash
or the 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the thing is, like, the Fire Spirits are basically like a spell that can be countered. That's what they do. They jump once, they explode, they die, which you can get for a spell, but you can't counter a spell. You can counter Fire Spirits. So they need to have more of a reward factor for the fact that they can be countered. And on the note of Furnace, like, the thing is, like, Furnace isn't really that good right now either. So
it's a pretty strong card, though. Like, it can fit in almost any archetype if it bounces back in the meta. Like, let's say RG comes back, bang, Furnace, and then
it's one of those.
It's
one of those cards like the Fisherman where it's like meta dependent. The Furnace, right? Like, because Bomb Tower is popular right now, no one's using Furnace. But like, if Bomb Tower goes down, then Furnace is instantly OP again. So that's true. I think maybe they could balance the Furnace and reduce his lifetime or something while buffing Fire Spirits as well.
Yeah, it's just like not quite as dominant as we've seen it recently, but it's definitely like a really strong card.
Cool.
Yeah, I guess we're going to end this one on 3 versus 2 because I still it's one of those weird things. I would like to see what it looks like. Of course, like, I'm greedy and I want to see, okay, how big is this splash radius? How much of a difference can it make? Because to me, like Shane, you put it beautifully, it's a spell that can be countered. And I think for 2 Elixir, give me those wall breakers that at least target, buildings and just way more of an offensive threat. They lack the defensive capability, but you can do what Fire Spirits do on defense simply with a spell anyway that can't be countered, right? So that's why I think that being able to split Fire Spirits, that might even be too strong. I don't know, but I think it would definitely revive the card. So anyway, we'll see if Supercell does decide to touch these little guys because I'm a fan of the card, despite the fact that they kind of suck. Who's next? KFC, what's up, dude? Stay awake. Give me your cards.
Yeah, morning. So the one I want to nerf is Mini Pekka, which is pretty much one of the most underrated OP cards in the meta at the moment because not only does it counter stuff like Royal Hogs, it's fast moving, it's cheap, it's good on offense, like as a pressure to take a tower, let's say if you use a beatdown card in the back, whilst also having like Hunter or something for defense, and Mini Pekka is good on defense, it one-shots Magic Archer. It's great, like it's great against Royal Hogs, and I just think it's probably top 2 with Magic Archer right now for most broken cards.
Yeah, I kind of I agree it's pretty strong right now, but like, dude, I love the Mini Pekka. Like, don't nerf it. I think it's my favorite card in the game right now. I love it so much.
Mini Pekka is super weird because it didn't even get a buff, did it? It didn't even get a buff.
It got a range, like a slight range buff, I think, like in the summer of last year when they did that melee range change.
When they changed everything, but
and then they nerfed Lumberjack after that, I believe, which is where kind of like slowly the Mini Pekka kind of came into the meta after the L-Jack nerf, which potentially that's the way they could nerf Mini Pekka, is just buffing L-Jack again. But Mini Pekka's a cool card. If they did nerf it, I think they should just lower his health a bit. Because like KFC said, like, he does everything. He's a tank killer. He's a support unit. He can put on pressure by himself. Like he's a jack of all trades and a master of all them at that. So I feel like keeping his damage high, so he's still a tank killer, is important for the identity of the card. But like lowering his health a bit so he isn't as tanky would be the way to go.
Or he could become an offensive unit and you increase his speed to hog rider speed.
Oh my god, yeah.
He does like
building targeting.
Yeah.
He can jump the river. No big deal. That's pretty cool. Or you could have him. Okay. I'm getting too crazy. Yeah. Let's. Yeah. Anybody else have any thoughts on Mini Pekka? Anybody think that Mini Pekka does not deserve a nerf? Okay. I guess that silence says a lot there. So I think we all think that Mini Pekka needs a small nerf.
Yeah.
Fair to say.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
It's interesting though, because Mini Pekka, like I'm with you guys, but at the same time, as my heart is like, nah, not Mini Pekka. Like,
that's how I feel.
I love the
card. A lot of high skill decks.
Yeah, right? It's like leave the little fellow alone. All right, let's go to your next card, KFC.
Okay, so I think Royal Recruits need a rework because it's such like the concept's broken, kind of similar to Battle Healer, because we've only seen them really OP and terrible. Like, they were OP with that balloon deck when they were like 6 elixir, and I think were a bit stronger as well. I can't even remember. But I've never seen them balanced because it's like 6 units, not like in a horde, but like so spread out across the map, has the potential to get so much value and be so hard to defend, especially because they've got like more HP than, or they're like a barbarian with a shield each. So yeah, I think it needs a rework.
A rework. Okay.
Yeah.
So, what was your number one idea for a rework then? More.
Because it's like it's so hard to balance, sort of thing.
Yeah. How would you rework it though?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like
it's hard because it's such a bad card. Like I hate it. It's like such a bad card. You can only play it in a few tiles on half the map. It's so skillless. I would love to see a rework for the recruits too, man. Like they haven't been in the meta for a while, so I don't know how exactly you rework them. Maybe make them.
I know how to rework them. I got it.
Okay, let's see this.
I got it. Right. It's the this is crazy, but you turn the whole damn card into a royal delivery. They all drop from the sky.
Dude. Like bombs away or something?
It's like a bomb of royal recruits coming down. You increase you have to increase the elixir again for it, like, cause it's gonna be way more valuable. But they do so you increase it back to 7. Maybe you tweak the stats a little bit, like maybe a little bit of a buff, I'm not sure. But they're like a spell. So that you can use them to like counter like basically anything coming down, even air units, just like the Royal Delivery.
Bro, that's sick. That's such a sick idea.
Please, let's do it.
So like you can use them to like counter a lava hound, like when it pops, you know? So,
pushes.
Yeah. So that's how you should change the
I agree. +1 vote for me.
Okay, so Shane and KFC agree. What do you guys think about recruits, Ray and Tag?
Okay, well, I saw a Reddit post a while ago about a Royal Recruit rework. I think it's okay. So basically, what it is like if you play like in the center, obviously it's just the normal line deployment. But the Reddit post was like if you play the Royal Recruit on the sides, it actually changes like formation based on like where you play the card. So like on the sides, it would deploy in like 2 rows of 3, and in the center it would deploy in 1 row of 6. And I feel like for a common card that'd be a little bit advanced of a concept, but I feel like it's an interesting change that probably could be tested.
Yeah, I saw that post too, and I think it's a cool idea as well.
Yeah, okay, sounds pretty good. Tag, what do you think about recruits? I like that idea.
Yeah, they're a pretty linear card right now, so it's hard to buff them stats-wise. If you ever buff them stats-wise, we would just run into the problem of them being too overpowered. And a card that's that easy to play is not good for the game when it's strong. So there's 2 things that I could see. Trying some crazy reworks, or maybe even vaulting the card and doing out with it just like they're planning on doing with Heal, and then putting a new card in. I think that would be pretty cool too. Like if they were pretty aggressive with like, hey, like this card fundamentally wasn't something that we were okay with, or like it just underperforms. Like we're looking at it right now, it's the 97th card. That's the most like least played right after Heal. Just look at that and be like, this is our next mission. And or even trying a crazy rework like what you said, right? Like, I don't know, just do something insane. And after a week, look at the community's response, be like, oh, this thing is terrible. Like, this is really bad for the game. And then change it. You like not even waiting an entire month. I don't think it's like that big of a deal to make changes within a week or two. I think that might be like really cool, like just to gauge the community's feedback and see that, and see if a radical change is okay for the game. And as long as they're responsive with it, I think it would be cool.
Yeah, I agree with you though, like about being super linear. You're right. Like here we are giving ideas to make it good, but if it's good, we saw what it does when it's good. It makes the game awful, you know. So it's a weird card, but yeah, I think that
it needs to be completely changed then, because that's what I mean. The concept of it is just broken.
Yeah, it's definitely a good card to mention. All right, so those are KFC's cards, Mini Pekka, Royal Recruit. We have Shane, you're up, man.
Yeah, okay. This is the fan favorite. Everyone's gonna love this card right here. Okay, it's gonna be a buff for the Elite Barbarians. I know.
Elite Barbs, my card.
Elite Barbarians, guys. Here's the thing. Like, yeah, they're kind of an annoying card. I get it. I have an account at like 4,000 trophies and 5,000 trophies, and I see E-Barbs all day long. Max level 13 E-Barbs. But fundamentally, like they suck. Like they are the single like lowest win rate card in the entire game. And every time I use Elite Barbarians, like if I'm doing like a troll video with E-Barbs, every single battle I'm stuck there asking myself, like, what is this card meant to do? Is it meant to be a tank destroyer? Because they don't do that very well.
They don't.
Like, are they meant to be a win condition? They don't do that very well. They don't do anything very well, or even like moderately well. They're just really, really bad. So I want to see a buff, like a massive buff for Elite Barbarians. You know, back in the day when Royal Giant was like considered a noob card, it was middle of the ladder, and no one ever used it top ladder. And then they kind of changed the Royal Giant, and then like over time, the stigma around Royal Giant kind of faded. People don't really consider it like a noob card anymore. I feel like if you change E-Barbs, like over time, a year from now, people would be like, remember when E-Barbs were a noob card? Like now they're kind of cool, right? So I think there's a chance. I don't want to give up on the card entirely. I want to see them get a buff, give them a shield, give them something. I don't know, like just give them a buff, make them spawn one tile further apart so that Dark Princes don't splash both of them. Just something simple for the Elite Barbarians.
They are a weird card, the Elite Barbs. That's another one of those cards too that's just like, should we just delete this crap card? Like it's such a mess of a card. Mini Pekka is so much better than Elite Barbarians is.
Well, that's the thing. Like Mini Pekka has 4 elixir, use E-Barbs for 6. Mini Pekka destroys it, and I'm like, okay, what was the Elite Barb supposed to do there?
Right. Anybody on this call have a great idea about Elite Barbs, or are we just deleting them?
Dude, what if the Elite Barbarians had a charge? Like they started running slowly, then they ran faster, and then whatever they hit, they just
imagine that in touchdown.
Yeah. Dude.
Yeah.
There's so many things you can do with E-Barbs. I just don't think they should give up them yet,
Dude, I agree with you though. That's kind of an interesting idea, having a charge on the Elite Barbs, Like I don't know, what do they just do, like extra damage like the princes do?
Yeah, like maybe they'll extra damage like a Dark Prince, like a splash damage initially, like running straight out of them, splash damage, and then they switch to their single target DPS mode. I don't know. Like I just think there's so much potential with what you can do for it. So why not try different things?
Honestly, the biggest issue with them before was their movement speed and like how fast they were. So
yeah, they make them slower.
Well, honestly, I think if you buff their attack, like their damage or anything like that, it's fine as long as they're not ridiculously fast. Get on top of the tower and then do an absurd amount of damage that you can't stop. If it's manageable with their movement speed, I think it'll be cool. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like the idea here with the charge is that like if you place them at the bridge initially, they're slow, like the Ram Rider, and you have a bit of response time for them before they start charging up to like fast movement speed, right? So by giving them a slower movement speed initially, you get response time, but you still have that like that fast speed aspect of it, which I believe I saw a Reddit post on Reddit by Seth saying that like they pulled E-Barb users, and that was the number one thing they liked about E-Barbs was how fast they were. So
they pulled the E-Barb users? How do you do that?
Well, I know they did some sort of poll, and it's like Elite Barbarian users really enjoyed how fast they were. So like, how do you nerf that, right?
Oh man, that's great. I want to see these Elite Barbarian anonymous group out there, and they just like have these voting surveys filling out and giving feedback on the card.
12% win rate.
Yeah, they're awful. I don't know, guys. I mean, I can't even think of anything, because like when you put 2 cards, I mean, Elite Barbarian is not a card in itself, but like you put 2 Knights together, it sucks. You put 2 Royal Ghosts together, which is another card that probably deserves to be on like somebody's list. Like they suck. Like I feel like you just there's nothing. They're the most thoughtless card ever, you know, in terms of I don't even know what to do with it. I think you remove them from the game. As much as I love the E-Barb spawner challenge, by the way, stay on the lookout for that one, guys. It's going to be amazing. High skill, like you've never seen this game played before. It's going to change the way you look at this game. But seriously, I think you remove the card and make it like something else. Like, you know, like make it, I have no idea, but make it an elite barbarian defense or something. I have no idea. Make it like a respawner. I have no idea, but like that card sucks. But I agree with Tag, man. I think that you hit the nail on the head. Like if you want to fix him, just give him a little bit more damage, you know? I don't know. Do they spill rage like the Lumberjack does?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Crazy. Anyways, moving on here. My next card is going to be Goblin Giant. And this one's a kind of a trickier card because like it's had chances in the meta. And the win rates for the Goblin Giant are actually very impressive as well. But, like, it's never consistently been in the meta. Like, it'll pop into the meta, like, a pro will use it and, like, find a good deck with it, and it'll be around for, like, a week or two. And then it kind of, like, falls out of the meta. But it's never consistently there. And I feel like with the Goblin Giant, it just needs a slightly faster first attack speed, and that's it. And the only reason I say that is, like, whenever I use the Goblin Giant, like, instinctively when I use it, I feel like it should attack faster, but the first attack just feels so slow. Like intuitively, it just feels slower than it should be. So just a slightly faster first hit speed wouldn't be a massive buff because like that's only the first attack that's affected, but just enough to kind of hopefully make it a bit more consistent in the game.
I 100% agree with that. I feel the exact same way. I feel like whenever you get one to the tower, it's like, oh, maybe he'll hit like the tower once and I probably won't even notice the poor damage that he does to it. Anybody else have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I kind of disagree. I mean, I agree from the perspective of the Goblin Giant from itself as a singular win condition is terrible. Like it's Sparky, underwhelming. Now. It's not good. But with Sparky, when you're playing against the Sparky decks with Earthquake right now and Goblin Giant, you generally will overcommit and drop stuff right on top of the Sparky, and then the Goblin Giant just takes the tower. So if that thing were to get buffed, I can't imagine how much more annoying that deck would be. One of my most hated decks in the game right now, I might be a little bit biased, is Sparky decks, just because I feel like if you don't have the right hand and they start Sparky in the back, or you just don't have Zap or whatever, you can just lose. And I think the Goblin Giant
is that the poor Goblin Giant's fault?
Yeah, that's what its win rate is. Goblin Giant or Sparky issue, right?
Like but Goblin Giants,
it's win rate. Like you can't really nerf Goblin Giant strictly because Sparky's too strong, right? Like I don't know, because Sparky is used in other decks, not just Goblin Giant. Like, do you notice the same thing when it's a Giant Sparky deck or whatever? Like, I think you would run into the same issue, right?
No, because it's synergy with.
True. Like the Goblin Giant's ability to defend the Sparky, right?
I mean, yeah, it's got a 56% win rate. I'm just basing it off of the win rate and just playing against a card that synergizes with one particular deck. We're running into the same issue that I think like Night Witch used to be really trash with every other deck besides like Golem. And then when they buffed Night Witch, it was really, really bad with Elixir Golems and Golems. Like it was not fair at all. So I just don't want to see like, Night Witch you started to see in other decks. And I thought like maybe it was okay in some decks, but like the Ram Rider Bridge Spam decks, it wasn't like extremely overwhelming. But in those Elixir Golem decks and in those Golem decks, it was terrible. So that's what I think, just basing it off that precedent, I think the Goblin Giant would just be really, really annoying in the Sparky decks. It's 56% win rate. I don't want to see it go to like 59 or 60.
Yeah, that's true. Like how do you buff a card that already has that high of a win rate? But like I said before, like the use rate is so like it's so low. Like it's never consistently been the meta. And just like I can't help myself but feel like whenever I use the card, just use the Goblin Giant, watch it go to a tower, and just pay attention to how slow that first attack speed is. And it just feels kind of clunky to me. I don't know. Just like instinctively, I feel like it should be attacking faster than what it does. But you're right. The win rate's already very high. So like, how do you justify buffing that over other cards in the game that probably could use it more?
Yeah, but like it's weird because I do agree. Like Goblin Giant, it's a cool card. It sucks that he's never used without Sparky for the most part. Like there's maybe like one other Goblin Giant double Prince deck, but still, I do see what Tag's saying though. Like it could be super annoying if it was incredibly powerful, especially within a Sparky deck. But maybe maybe, and this will transition to my 2 cards, guys, a quick lightning round because we're already going pretty long here, is maybe if we buff Zap Ease, then that will keep that card in check. Sparky deck, right? I kid about that because I don't think Zap Ease are just gonna be the answer to that's too many connections there I'm making. But I do think that they need to go a little bit further with Zap Ease. Obviously, it's still on the very bottom of the barrel in terms of win, use rates, and stuff like that. I don't think the card needs to be the best card in the game, but I do think that they are an interesting card when they are viable. I personally don't find them boring. I know that Supercell has gone on the record in saying that they can be like make the game too defensive, but I actually find them to be pretty cool, and they're pretty good in Fireball Babe decks and stuff like that as well. So I'd like to see a little bit of a buff to Zap Ease. Anybody disagree with that?
Nope.
Okay. Anybody strongly agree with that?
No, I agree for sure. I think that the last buff for Zap Ease was nice, but like, obviously, they still need a bit more. I understand if they want to take like a slow kind of wait and see approach to it, but I think we can see by now that the Zap Ease could use a slight, tiny buff again. Obviously, just keep doing tiny buffs,
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Like, I appreciate that they did a tiny buff and then didn't go overboard with the Zap Ease. Does anybody on this call feel like, does anybody agree that inherently Zap Ease, when they're actually good, when they're actually meta, are bad for the game?
Yeah, I think so. Like when they're like really like, I think they have to be slightly worse than meta. Like they can't be meta defining, because if they're in the meta and people are using them consistently, it's just very annoying for a lot of people to have their units stunned perpetually, and it's not good for the game if it was like how it was before. A lot of people liked it before. I didn't like it because I didn't really like my bowlers and other things getting stunned and feeling like the game was very slow pace. It just wasn't ideal.
It's true. And I think like the whole point of them being like super defensive is very valid, because like you play against the opponent that uses Zap Ease, they split them behind their Cane Tower. Like you can't really push, like if you're using like a Battle Ram deck or a Ram Rider deck or whatever, you can't push opposite lane because it'll get stunned. So it just blocks both lanes. You kind of run into the same issue as Three Musketeers did, where like they can feel oppressive when used by the Cane Tower, and just both lanes are instantly blocked and they just keep defending everything. So I understand that point, but I think definitely.
So it sounds like for the most part, we agree with a small buff. Just be very careful about them getting too OP. Do you, Ray and KFC? Do you guys kind of agree with that too?
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like Zappies can be really OP if like they're constantly stunning your tanks, and they can really control the meta if they get out of hand. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I remember back in the day with Pekka Zappies deck. I used to hate Zappies. Honestly, I used to hate Zappies as much as I hate Magic Archer now. And I don't know. I just feel like at this point, it does need a little bit of a buff. But I definitely do not want to see it be like completely tier A top meta.
Yeah. Okay, I agree. Okay, we're on the same page there. My last card is Royal Delivery, the brand new card in the game. I feel like the card actually is pretty good, pretty interesting. I don't have anything bad to say about the card. I like the idea of it. I like that you can only play it on your side of the arena. I like that it hits air. But I do feel like I don't know what the answer is, and I don't want to overreact too. But it is on the card boost, and the use rates are still super low. Is it because people don't, understand all the uses of the card? Or is it just because the card is a little bit underwhelming, whether it's this meta or overall? I don't know exactly the answer to that question, but I do feel like maybe just I like that it has a long drop time, but it seems really long right now. Maybe just make it a little bit less. Like, I don't know what the drop time is right now. Maybe it's 2 seconds or 3 seconds. Like, cut it in a third. What do you guys think about the new card, Royal Delivery?
Yeah, I agree for sure. I think the Royal Delivery, like, for a 3-elixir arrow substitute, like, the arrows are meant to destroy fast, swarmy cards like minions, goblins, Skarmy. Typically, all those units are faster moving. So you need to have a card that has a response time to match what it's meant to counter. So I definitely agree making it a little bit faster than what it is right now is the perfect way just to give it a slight nudge. Everything else about it is fine, though.
Anybody else? Any thoughts on the new card?
I liked what they tried to do with it. I think it was pretty obvious that they tried to introduce like a Magic Archer counter and a Bridge Spam counter and have a unique spell that was 3 elixir. That there aren't very many unique spells. There's just like Tornado and Arrows besides that. So I really liked the concept of the card. I thought it was cool. I just think that, as you said, and as Shane said, I think that when you try to play it on defense, it's incredibly underwhelming. I was playing it with Expo and other decks, and it just wasn't working as a defensive card. The only time that I ever found it to be successful was with Royal Hogs and then Earthquake, Magic Archer, Hunter, and that deck's just overpowered in general. So I don't really know if that really makes
it's not necessarily the delivery doing anything good there. It's just being boosted by all the other strong cards in the deck.
So yeah, so yes or no. So across the board here, yes or no, does it need a buff tag?
Yes. It does, but it's going to be really, really annoying if it's strong. So you got to do it in incremental things, just like the Zap Ease. If you incrementally buff it up, I love what they did with the Zap Ease. Right now, you still see that, hey, it's not used because Magic Archer, which is in the perfect environment with all the Fireball bait with Royal Hogs and Magic Archer, and you still don't see it used, got to buff it. Do a slight buff with the Zap Ease, do a slight buff with Royal Delivery, and I think you're chilling. You just can't do anything big because that card is going to be obnoxious.
Yeah, true.
Okay, KFC?
Yeah, buff Royal Delivery. It just takes too long to drop, and it doesn't do that much damage. It's not like something I'm worth waiting for. It's like you need that damage in a lot of situations pretty quickly, and especially because you can only play it on your side.
Okay.
You might have to react to units and stuff. Yeah.
Okay, and Ray, buff it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it needs a buff. I think building off what Tag said, like cards that are inherently defensive, especially like the Royal Delivery, because it literally can only be played on defense. I think, it's definitely going to be annoying when it's overpowered. So a small buff is the best move.
Okay, well, hey, we're all on the same page on that one. It's nice to end when we're all in agreement on something, guys. Thank you so much for all coming on. I really appreciate you guys, and all my viewers do as well. A lot of people asking for this series to come back, so I actually put it a little bit earlier this month. So, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe again to all of my guests, all their YouTube channels, all their Twitter informations, everywhere else that they stream or do anything or say anything publicly will be linked all in the show notes below. So give them some support and go ahead and subscribe and check them out. Guys, thanks again. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. All right, guys, take it easy, and you guys take it easy as well. Use their creator codes. Pick one of them, the most handsome, whoever it is. Use their creator code in the show notes below. Thank you guys so much for watching. A huge shout out to Stats Royale and to Bren Chong, my YouTube partners. Check out their information as well. And as always, take care, guys.